Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on something fundamental. We're looking at the core of project agreements. What are the contractor's main duties? We've got a framework here that helps break down, what it truly means to be that responsible party, the one actually building things.
Exactly. You can think of it as the essential map of who's accountable for what. If you don't have that crystal clear understanding of what the contractor has to deliver, well, the whole project could easily go off the rails. So, yeah, today we're dissecting those core responsibilities,
Yeah.
why they matter so much.
Okay, so let's boil it right down. What's the absolute number one thing a contractor must do? The cornerstone.
At its heart, it's this. The contractor is responsible for providing the works according to the scope. Now, those terms, providing the works and scope, they're not just jargon. They have real weight. Works is basically everything that needs to be built or delivered, the physical outcome and the scope. That's the detailed how-to, the drawings, the quality standards, the materials required, everything. So the contractor's main promise is making the finished product match that scope precisely. It's often where misunderstandings can start if it's not clear up front.
Right. It's like saying build this specific thing in this exact way. Simple enough in concept, but crucial. Now, most big projects involve subcontractors, right? Specialists brought in. How does that play into this core responsibility? Does the main contractor get to share the load?
That's a really critical point. In the eyes of the main contract, no, the responsibility doesn't get shared. Even if a contractor farms out tasks to subs, which happens all the time for, electrical, plumbing, whatever it says, the ultimate responsibility for providing the works stays firmly with that main contractor. It's as if they did every single bit themselves with their own people and equipment. Legally, the subcontractor is almost like an extension of the contractor, that core obligation. It doesn't get delegated away.
Okay, wow. So the contractor is still fully on the hook no matter who's actually, say, wiring the building. But they can't just bring anyone onto the site, surely. There must be some kind of approval process.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just hire anyone. To make sure the project isn't put at risk, the contractor has to submit the name of every proposed subcontractor. They submit it to a specific person, usually the project manager, for acceptance. It's not about being difficult, it's a safeguard.
A quality check, almost.
Sort of. The main reason someone might not be accepted is if their appointment could genuinely stop the contractor from providing the works properly. If they don't have the right skills, or maybe their safety record is poor, or something like that. And the crucial bit is the contractor cannot appoint that sub without getting that formal acceptance first. It keeps standards up.
Right, a necessary check and balance. Okay, shifting gears slightly, how the project actually gets done, the timeline. What's the contractor's role in planning that out?
That's another major responsibility area. The project program, the schedule, that largely falls to the contractor. Unless there's already a program locked into the contract from day one, which sometimes happens, but often not. Usually the contractor has a set amount of time laid out in the contract data to submit their first program, and it needs acceptance too.
And is that it? They submit one plan and stick to it?
No, it's a living document. The contractor also has to keep submitting updated programs. They need to do this regularly, at intervals that are also usually specified in the contract data. Can't be longer than that interval. These updates show the actual progress and any changes needed. A good program is vital, not just for hitting dates, but for managing resources, spotting problems early.
So they're constantly planning, reporting progress, and adjusting the map as they go. Makes sense. What actually needs to be in these program submissions? It's got to be more than just a few dates, right?
Oh, definitely. It needs quite a bit of detail. You need the official start date, obviously, dates for when they get access to different parts of the site, any specific key dates that are maybe milestones in the contract itself, and of course the big one, the completion date. They also put in their planned completion date, which might be earlier.
Okay, the key milestones. What else?
They also have to show the order and timing of their planned work, the sequence of operations to actually build everything. And critically, it also has to show the timing for any work being done by the client or others involved in the project. Everything needs to sync up. That level of detail is what makes it useful for actually coordinating everyone.
It sounds like a really detailed operational plan, constantly being refined.
Okay.
What about design? Sometimes the contractor is involved in designing parts of the project. How does that responsibility work?
Good question. If the contract specifically says the contractor designs certain parts, maybe the electrical systems or some bespoke element, then that design work becomes one of their core responsibilities, just like the building part. And they have to submit the details of their design, as the scope requires, for acceptance.
Acceptance again. So can their design be rejected?
Yes, absolutely. If the design doesn't meet the requirements set out in the scope, maybe it doesn't perform as needed, or uses the wrong materials, or, importantly, if it doesn't comply with applicable laws or building regulations, then it can and likely will be rejected. The design has to be fit for purpose and legal.
So even when they wear the designer hat, they're still accountable to the project's overall needs and the law. Now, you also mentioned a responsibility to advise. What does that involve? What kind of advice?
Well, think about it. They're the ones actually building it. They see things from a practical, on-the-ground perspective. So their duty is to advise the project manager, typically on the practical side of the design. They might point out, look, this detail is going to be really difficult to build, or there's a more efficient way to achieve this. They might flag risks that aren't obvious on paper. It also extends to advising on their subcontracting plans, maybe why a certain sub is best placed for a tricky job.
Ah, so leveraging their practical know-how to potentially improve things or avoid problems, like a built-in reality check.
Exactly. I've seen situations where a contractor pointing out a potential clash early, based on their experience, saved a huge amount of rework and cost later on. It's valuable input.
I can imagine. Okay, let's touch on money, costs. What are the contractor's obligations around forecasting project costs?
Right. Financial visibility is key. The contractor has to prepare and submit forecasts of the total defined cost for the whole project. This isn't just a guess, it's meant to be a considered forecast, and it's usually done in consultation with the project manager. They have to do this at regular intervals, again, usually set out in the contract data, right from the start until the project is fully complete.
And just a number or more detail?
More detail. Each forecast has to clearly explain any changes from the previous forecast. Why has the number gone up or down? It provides transparency on cost trends, helps everyone manage the budget proactively.
Keeping surprises to a minimum. Very important. Now, thinking about modern projects, digital tools are huge. Information modeling, or BIM, what's the contractor's role there?
If the project uses information modeling, the contractor gets specific duties there too. They have to actively collaborate with the other people involved in creating and using that. Model designers, other contractors, the client maybe. This is usually spelled out in the information model requirements document. It's about making sure the digital twin is accurate and useful for everyone. And, crucially, if they spot something that might mess up the model or stop people using it properly, they have to raise an early warning.
So active participation in the digital side, not just using it passively, and flagging issues early. Got it. How about tracking overall performance? Are there specific reporting duties tied to, say, project goals?
Yes, if the contract uses key performance indicators, KPIs.
Yeah.
These could be about safety, time, cost, quality, whatever's important for that project. If KPIs are in play, the contractor needs to report how they're actually performing against each KPI target. They do this at set intervals, from the start right through until the defect certificate is issued, which is quite late in the process. The report also needs to include a forecast of the final measurement for each KPI.
And what if they're not hitting a target?
That's the important part. If it looks like a target isn't going to be met, the contractor doesn't just report it. They have to submit proposals for how they're going to improve. It forces a proactive approach to fixing performance issues, not just documenting failure.
Right. Identifying problems and proposing solutions. Makes sense. Now, quality, always a big one. What are the baseline responsibilities there?
Even if the contract doesn't demand a super formal, certified quality system like ISO 9001, the contractor still has fundamental quality duties. They have to provide a quality policy statement, basically, their commitment to quality, and a quality plan. The plan outlines how they'll manage quality, the procedures they'll use. Both of these usually need acceptance. It shows they've thought about quality management and have a process in place.
So a documented commitment to quality, even without a specific external standard being mandated. Okay, final area. What happens after the main work is done, but maybe something isn't quite right? Defects.
Yes, the responsibility doesn't just end at handover. If defects are notified problems or things not built correctly according to the scope, the contractor is usually instructed to search for them, to investigate. And once a defect is confirmed, they are responsible for correcting it. There's usually a set time for this, the defect correction period. To do this, they'll need access to the works again, even if the client has already taken over that part. Arrangements have to be made for that.
So their responsibility extends beyond completion day to fix things that weren't done right first time. Wow, okay. Listening to all that, it's clear the contractor's role is Well, it's huge. It covers so much ground.
It really is multifaceted. It's not just about the physical building work. It's deep into planning, scheduling, constant financial forecasting, design input where required, collaboration, quality management, and then fixing issues afterwards. Adhering strictly to that scope is the thread that runs through it all.
It really underlines how much rests on the contractor's shoulders and how vital it is that everyone understands these responsibilities clearly from the very beginning.
Absolutely. That clarity is the foundation. When everyone knows exactly what the contractor is obliged to do, it reduces the ambiguity, prevents a lot of potential arguments. It helps build trust and leads to much better working relationships on the project, more collaboration, less conflict.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How could really embedding this deep shared understanding of the contractor's core duties right from the project kickoff, how could that actively prevent problems down the road and foster a genuinely more cooperative, successful project for everyone involved? Something to really chew on. Thanks for breaking all that down today.
My pleasure. It's a crucial piece of the puzzle.